Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to the Mini John Cooper Works Clubman, my long-term loaner. Now, many of you have asked, when am I going to put this up against the BMW M135i? Well, my good friend Joe Achilles happens to have an M135i on long-term loan as well, and he's just behind me. So we're going to meet up and do exactly what you've asked for. In fact, here he is, just there. Now this should be very interesting. The underpinnings of these two cars are fundamentally the same. Same engine, same gearbox, four-wheel drive, in a straight line, very, very similar performance, but they are very different cars. So we're going to go to some very cool roads we know and do a comparison. Recognise this road? Yes, it's my, well, from now on will be called the GT2 RS road, but we're going to drive up here and find a nice place to pull over and have an introduction of both cars, a bit of a walk around the cars, and then my plan is to jump in the M135i with Joe and talk through, and I'm going to rate, or basically pitch, both cars against each other on 10 different criteria and see which one comes out on top. Well, we've found a very epic parking spot that's really muddy. But welcome to the channel, Joe.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, good
now,
to be on it.
You have been on the channel before in a McLaren 720S.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That was last year, I think.
It was, yeah. Beautiful summer's day, a bit warmer than today.
It was so lovely and sunny about half an hour ago. Sun's gone in, freezing cold.
Yeah.
So the reason for us getting together today, we've been talking about doing a collab for years and years, but we're always on the same launches, but we never managed to actually get together and do anything. No. But I, as you know, have had my Clubman now as a long-termer for about 2.5 months, but very similar time, Joe has had the M135i as a long-termer from BMW UK, and they are such a similar car, aren't they? I mean,
they are almost too similar. At least under the skin they are.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So I've reviewed both on the channel. I'll put clips and stuff and links below. But the idea of this film was I want us to go out in the M135i and have a chat about both, because you've lived with that, I've lived with the Mini, and I thought it'd be useful just to have a bit of a chat about the car.
Absolutely.
And try and, I've got 10 criteria that we're going to rank.
Yep.
And we're either going to upset Mini UK or BMW UK, because one of the cars is going to come out on top.
Yes, yeah, that's going to be a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll jump in the car. There's an epic road behind us that we're going to go and explore, and we will talk more and try and put these cars up against each other on 10 basic criteria.
Sounds good, mate.
Very subjective, I know, but also we can get in the car because it's freezing.
How's it going, mate?
All right, mate, very good. Yeah. I'd just like to say, by the way, this video is not sponsored by Oakley, but you are.
Oh, yes, well, this is true, yeah. I'm very fortunate to get a few pairs. I was just about to say, I'm sorry about all the mud I just put all over your carpet.
I know, mate.
But, this is my car.
Right, so I am going to go through, I've got my little list of factors, or 10 things we're going to basically rate these cars. Okay. But interestingly, you have in your video, which I'll put a link to below, just driven the Clubman. Yep. Now, I cannot believe that anybody watching this video doesn't know who this gentleman is. So if not, links to the channel below. You are Mr. BMW.
Thank you very much, Pete. Yeah, well,
and you've been driving this car similar to me, a couple of months.
Yeah, a couple of months. Haven't done quite the mileage. I've done about 2,000 miles in it, but I feel like I know it pretty well now.
Yeah, because this had a bit of a hard time when, you know, it's not got the 3 litre straight 6.
No.
It's not rear wheel drive. And apparently, because I hadn't driven the original 1 Series, I had no right being on the press launch, according to one of the comments on my videos.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's...
How can you possibly comment on an M135i when you haven't driven the previous
gen? Well, it's probably quite a good thing, actually, because I think the problem with this car is people are understandably completely comparing it to the previous gen.
Yeah.
And the previous gen to me was a once in a lifetime. It was a real, I don't know, it was a rebel. And it was a brilliant car when it came out in its first guise, 2013 or end of 2012. And I just think it's one of those cars that we're going to look back in years to come and go, wow, you could once upon a time buy a 1 Series with a 3-litre 6-cylinder engine in it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, things are changing. Electric cars, hybrids, downsizing. It was going to happen. So here we are.
So, because the way I approach this car, the only thing it's got in common really is it's called a 1 Series.
Yes.
it's
yeah.
And I know the reason behind. What surprised me when I talked to the guys at BMW at the launch, they said there's something like 80% of 1 Series owners didn't even know their car was rear-wheel drive.
Yes.
Or it wasn't a factor in them buying the car.
No, and I can't imagine, that's where this car came about, really, didn't it? It was the older 1 Series was terrible at space, terrible at practicality. Its ride was never that brilliant. These are all things that the majority of people look for when they're buying cars.
Yeah.
Whereas you and I, being more petrol peds, we look for other things, but unfortunately we're a minority. And to look for those things, we need to go to full fat M cars now, really, because this lacks some of the ingredients of the older M140.
I thought, because if I get you involved in this, then BMW and Mini can blame both of us, depending on which way the...
So you're bringing me down then, Pete, basically.
Well, I don't know, it depends on which car wins.
Yeah, okay.
So, 10 criteria. Right,
yes.
That I want us to say whether we prefer the BMW or we prefer the Mini.
Okay.
Right? And the first one is external looks. Now, my view on it is I think the Clubman's external looks, if you are a Mini fan, you probably like it. If you're not, it really does kind of... It's a very Marmite car. And
yep.
Some people say it has looks only a mother could love, especially from the rear. But whereas this, I think this is just that little bit more grown up, would appeal to a much wider market than the Mini.
Yeah, I think when this initially came out, we first saw pictures of the new 1 Series, it was more of a Marmite car than it is now. It's growing on us, and you're right, I personally love the way the Clubman looks,
yeah.
But I do know that it is a Marmite car, and I guess, yeah, for me overall this probably just takes it, but it's a difficult one.
I agree.
Okay, perfect. Nice.
So that's 1 point to the BMW, and I'm a Mini guy, I've just said that. I'm going to get lots of hate for that.
It takes no early lead, but yeah, let's see where this goes.
Okay. Okay, next one. Interior styling or interior looks. I think this is a little bit unfair. We kind of mentioned it in your video, actually, because this is a brand new to market model. So all the interior is as up to date as ever. Whereas the Clubman is pretty much the end of the Series 3 or the F Series Minis. So it is a bit dated now. It's funky and cool, and I think it's probably a bit more youthful than this. But in terms of how modern it feels and in terms of the materials, BMW is pretty good.
Yeah, I think when you factor in that they're basically the same list price and the quality, I mean, yeah, the design in here is lovely. We've got operating system 7 in here, which is what we had on the M8 launch recently.
Yeah.
Like, you've got some serious tech in here, and the touch points are really nice. But as you say, also the Mini, it is funky, and it does put a smile on your face when you get inside any Mini cabin. They're fun, funky places to be. But yeah, I would definitely say that this cabin is a step above it, and the tech and stuff is a step above the Mini. So does that make BMW 2-0?
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is not going well. So next then, comfort and driving position. Now, feels very similar, to be honest. These seats are very similar.
They are. They're similar to look at, and they're very similar to sit in.
And it's similar in a good way. I don't, I can get into a nice driving position. We're both really tall chaps. I've never wanted for space in a Mini and never wanted for space in this. In fact, I've probably got the seat forward a little bit, actually.
Yep.
Rake and reach adjustment, and it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the difficult one for me. I have to say, I think the driving position pretty much feels the same as you said, but the ergonomics for me in this car are a little bit better. I can rest my elbows on the door card and the centre armrest a bit better, and therefore on longer journeys you can just chill, but there's very little in it. To me, again, the Mini feels like a more of a sportier cabin and driving position, by which I mean like the seat's a little bit harder, whereas this one's a bit more comfortable, maybe easier to live with. I'm gonna sit on the fence with this one, if I can do that.
We can sit on the fence. Should we give it a half?
Yeah.
Oh, we can have a half each.
A half each. Yeah. A half each or
half
zero?
Each.
Yeah, half each.
Half
we need
each.
to get Mini on. We need to get Mini on the board here because it's a brilliant car and I feel a bit sorry for it. So yeah. Okay. So so what Mini's half. This is 2.5.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Right. Awesome. Right. Infotainment. Now, let me start. So, what I love about the BMW displays is the way that the sat-nav integrates in between the odometer and rev counter. They kind of blends in. I've always liked that.
Yep.
What I'm not a big fan of is out and out the sat-nav in the BMW. When we were on the M8 launch recently, I went wrong a couple of times because it didn't seem to be massively clear which way I should be going.
Yep.
In the Clubman, firstly, the Clubman's not got the widescreen sat-nav, that particular model. It's an upgrade, so that's not brilliant. And I end up using Waze and Apple CarPlay. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay, and you just end up using that. So
sure.
I think the Mini's found wanting in that department, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think we're both old school. I really like analog dials, so I have to say that anything when I get in with an analog dial like the Mini, I enjoy that. I like seeing actual dials, even though this is fantastic. But everywhere else, the Mini, I talk about it in my video actually, that the controller for your particular Mini is an iDrive controller out of a BMW from 10 years ago. So there is, again, it's showing that slightly dated thing. Some of this nav is a bit overly complicated compared to the iDrive 6 that this replaces, but it becomes familiar when you're used to it. And in fact, even using it for traffic and stuff, I've found that it's sometimes as good, if not better, than Waze in certain places, which is really impressive because it's very rare. I'm like you, Waze on, no matter what car I'm on, Waze is always the benchmark, but this, I've put them on together sometimes and this is good. So, but I guess this wins.
BMW's going to
yeah.
Oh no. No, this is not good, people. So what's that now?
I think that's
3.5 half.
Yeah, 3.5 to half, yeah. Wow.
Damn. Come on, Mini. Now then, for the next one, I'm just going to drop it into a manual box, and because this one is driving feel. And although I haven't spent a lot of time in this car today, I did go on the launch, and it is a super competent car, and it does have a nice feel to it, and it's quite a grown-up feel. But I know I'm a Mini fan, mate, but the Mini just, for me, it just sparks my driving juices way more than this.
I have to agree, mate. I have to say, like, sorry, did I just say I have to agree?
Yeah.
No, honestly, no. After spending half an hour in that Mini earlier on today, I'm really impressed with it. I'm impressed with even though it's the same running gear, same chassis, same engine, same gearbox, somehow they've made it more fun and more sporty. It's a better sound, it responds better, it feels quicker, although on paper it is a tiny bit slower, but I don't believe that. And handling wise, yes, it's on much better tyres in this car, which will make a big difference, but handling wise, definitely 100% Mini.
Yes! Right, so what are we on now? That's 4.5, 1.5.
Yes.
You're making a note of these, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So closely related then, performance. Now, we could, looking at a piece of paper, just say it's half each.
Yeah.
Because it's the same engine, same power, same, so 306 brake, 450 Newton meters, it's the same gearbox, it's got a very similar four-wheel drive system, so it should be the same.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not. I just feel like the Mini just feels like a quicker car, and I don't, whether that's because it's smaller and nimbler and more agile, I'm not sure, but I'm edging towards Mini.
Yeah, if I drove both cars in isolation or even together and I hadn't seen the spec sheets,
yeah,
I would think that number one, the Mini was a bit more powerful, and number two, it's maybe half a second quicker to 60. But actually, in reality, the quoted times, the Mini's a 10th slower. But I honestly think this is my opinion, I think that someone at BMW is like, no, we can't have a Mini that's quicker than the same car that's costing the same price in the same group, so we're going to knock a 10th off. And that's what my personal, I'd love to drag race him. Unfortunately, you need an airfield to do that. But I agree, I have to say, in my head, forgetting about what's on paper, the Mini feels a little bit quicker.
So another one to Mini.
Another one to Mini.
So what's that now? 4.5, 2.5.
2.5, yeah, Mini's coming back.
Come on, baby.
It's on a surge.
Now then, in order to do the next one, I think I just need to slow the car down and just accelerate, and we just keep quiet for a bit, because this one's all about sound. I should have changed gear then. It's not bad, but at startup and when you rev, the Mini has this hands down.
100%.
It sounds so much better. Why? They should sound the same, surely.
Well, again, I talk about this a bit in my video when we just shot, that when you're behind the wheel of the Mini, my head is saying to me, there's no way that is the B48 engine under the bonnet, because they sound completely different. It's not even exhaust sound, induction, every sound. You can hear the turbo in the Mini, you can hear, and it just sounds like a really impressive four-pot, whereas in this one, it doesn't sound the same. And I don't mean sound negative about this car, but for me, again, it's
you know what's going to happen.
It's Mini.
It's Mini. It's Mini. So what's the score now? 4.5.
3.5. Yeah.
Oh, she's fighting back. Now then, practicality.
I've got no idea what you're about to say. Just so you know, every time you come up with a new one, I'm like, what are you going to come up with this time?
I haven't briefed him at all.
All right then, passenger ejector seat.
Yeah, that's what that button is.
Yeah.
Practicality. So again, on the face of it, you'd think pretty much the same underpinnings, 4 seats, boot at the back, and they are very similar, but
yeah.
I've helped you film your video and watched the comparison between you getting in the back of this and the back of the Mini. And the Mini's a lot tighter.
It is.
And the boot is just that little bit smaller.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, no, I'm definitely not being a BMW fanboy here. Factually, this is a more practical car for sure.
Now you can, because you can drop the seats and you can get a bike in the back of the Mini.
Yep.
That's always our benchmark.
It is, yeah, both being cyclists. Yeah.
But I think this just edges the practicality.
Yep, absolutely. So, what's that?
One more for the Mini.
5.5 and 3.5.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, still not much in it.
No.
What are you going to surprise me with next, Pete?
Right then, how many pennies have you got in your pocket, mate? Because the next one's got to be price.
Wow.
Now, well, again, when you on paper, the kind of from price isn't a million miles different.
No, it's about £1,000.
Yeah,
and this one's £1,000 more expensive.
Yeah.
Than the Mini.
Now, oh, help people. Very nice.
That's Tony Lewis.
Now, the car I've been driving, that's 37,400 quid.
Yeah.
It's only got a couple of extra options on it. Options missing that I would have to have if it was my car, that this car has, is a panoramic roof.
Yep.
And I want roof rails as well, because to make that a little bit more practical for me, I'd want to be able to put a roof box on it.
Sure.
For longer trips. But even so, even with that, they're probably only going to be, what, 1,500, maybe 2,000 quid's worth of options. So you're still looking under 40 grand.
Yeah.
How much is this one?
Oh, look, that looks really nice over there.
It's nice round here, isn't it? How much is this car, Joe?
Oh, how much is this car?
Yes,
oh,
this
right.
car.
I've had a complete, I can't think. I have reason to believe it's 43 and a half.
43 and a half grand, mate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And can I just point out, there's still things you can add, like the obvious leather seat option that this doesn't have, and a few other bits. So, yeah, it's not cheap.
The Mini wins that one then. For what you get.
Yep.
Now, obviously, you know, this is done better in terms of some of the internal tech, the feel and stuff on the inside, but it's still a lot more money. Is it worth that extra amount of money? I don't know.
It'd be hard to part with it, wouldn't it? Yeah, I have to say that. Although like you said, you can see where the extra money's going on here.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of. If we compare 43.5 to 37.5, that's a big price difference.
Yeah.
That's a really sexy road bike. Or mountain bike.
Yeah.
So
N+1.
Yeah. So another Mini.
Yeah. So what's that?
4.5 to 3.5. 4.5 to 5.5.
Oh.
So there's 1 point in it. How many have we got left?
1. Okay. Finally, you've lived with this for 2 months.
I have.
I've lived with the Mini for 2 months.
Yep.
If you could drive any of them away and live with them for the next 12 months, which one would you have?
That's a difficult one. I mean, going off.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah. You go first, and then I can decide which one I want to win, really.
Yes, and because that's not my video, so that leaves you there.
No, it's going to be unbiased. Go on.
I really like this car.
Yeah.
I really like this car. I think it looks great. It drives beautifully. It's a very grown-up car.
Yeah.
The character of this car for me is far more grown-up than the Mini. And I think it will have a wider appeal in terms of potential buyers because of that feeling. Yeah. However, I'm not a grown-up. You know, I may well be 47, but my mental age is still like sort of 16, 17. Yes. So I don't necessarily want a car that makes me feel grown up yet. I want something that puts a smile on my face, that I can do lots of miles in, that is practical enough to get some passengers in the back or some luggage in the back. Yeah. But when you get on a road like this and you put it in sport mode, it gives you a big smile and it makes you feel at one with the car. And for me, that's the Mini.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting listening to you saying that. I mean, it's a difficult one because I've been fortunate to have this car for the past 2 months, and so I know it very well. And the way you worded the question, what would I like to live with from 12 months on? Well, I've kind of experienced and lived with this car, and I've found its qualities and its positives, as you've just touched upon. It's a very well sorted hatch, hot hatch, warm hatch, whatever you want to call it. It does everything really, really well, but it doesn't have that buzz that certain cars, I think, of this ilk should have. Whereas the Mini, yes, I've only driven it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes earlier on today, but instantly it is more exciting to drive. And so for me, like you, that gets the opportunity to jump in a lot of other press cars, we've both got other cars at home, I have to say that I honestly do believe.
I'm just going to take my glasses off so you can see them. Yes, sorry.
What do you need to lift them up to listen?
Mr. BMW?
I have to say the Mini, if you gave me the option now, it would be the Mini. Just solely based on the fact that I've had a few months with this car and I want something a bit different. See, that was such a cop-out, wasn't it? I've been so diplomatic. No, yeah, Mini's more fun. Mini is more fun, and I don't have, I don't need all the practicalities at the moment. Yeah, wait.
Really? So what's the scores, man?
5.5 each. No, it's going to look like this is staged.
How can it be 5.5 each when there was out of 10? How do we work that one out?
Oh! We've somewhere in our calculations we've gone completely wrong. Is there really only 10 questions?
Yeah. Let's do a recount, a la, you know, Strictly Come Dancing.
Okay.
So external styling, BMW.
Yep.
All right. So you do the BMW numbers. I'll do that. All right. Internal styling, BMW. Driver position and comfort was the half. We'll add that at the end.
Yeah.
Right. Infotainment, BMW. Driving feel, Mini. Performance, Mini. Sound, Mini. Practicality, BMW. Price, Mini. Living with, Mini. 5.5 to 4.5. Mini wins.
Oh! That's fair, because I think you should win.
Well, so we had to stop, pull over, and count back
on our fingers.
On our fingers.
Yeah. What was that? We're like 16-year-olds. We literally are.
One, two.
Yeah, somewhere it went wrong, and you guys have obviously seen where that's gone wrong.
You were getting really excited because you thought the BMW might win.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was excited because I was like, oh, it's a draw. That's great. It's pleased everyone.
Mini won. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, that's okay. Well, you know what? Like, fair play. There was a close battle, and I think all the questions were really fair, and I think we answered them really fair.
Yeah.
And
honestly, that was not. We've not staged that at all.
Well, no, you
know what the questions.
We can't even add up to 10. Well, that's really interesting. You know what? Like, no, I'm accepting defeat here, Pete.
Mate, it's been brilliant fun. Absolutely brilliant fun.
Yeah.
Finally, well, we've been on the channel before. It's great to kind of spend a day just talking cars and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Make sure you head over to Joe's channel. I'm sure you're subscribed already, but loads of BMW, Audi. You do loads of stuff across all the different cars and stuff,
yeah,
so
absolutely. We do very similar stuff, but it's always, our videos are always very different. Both cyclists.
Anyway, I reckon, do you reckon we go and find a pub to get a sandwich?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's go and do that.
So we're going to go and do that, but I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. Head over to Joe's channel, subscribe to his channel for plenty more content to come, and I'll see you on the next film, guys. But you take care. Drive safe.
Cheers.